Hello, everybody. This is CJ Wiley, and I'm out at a little lake I found in Pennsylvania with some hiking trails, and it's pretty cool. Check this out. Surreal, huh? Anyway, I was thinking about pool out here, and some of the things that I've learned through the years. And one of the keys to my learning was when I studied neurolinguistic programming. It's the study of how words are used to program the mind. And there's a lot of offshoots from it. And you may have heard of Tony Robbins. He was taught by the same people I was. Richard Bandler was the main guy, and John Grinder. Richard was a computer programmer, and John was a master linguist. And they got together and developed this model for human communication so that, as they said, if it was possible in the world, it would be possible for you by modeling how people did things that were exceptional. So there's a lot of exceptional people, and they all follow certain strategic models. And a lot of times, they kind of find out through trial and error and being around the right people at the right time, and really having a passion for knowledge. Knowledge is definitely power. In the ancient manuscripts, it says that's the only way we perish is from a lack of knowledge. And I believe that. Also, the truth will set you free. So searching for knowledge and truth is a common denominator for a lot of people becoming exceptional at things, whatever that may be. But if you follow the same model, it doesn't matter if there's 5 people, 50 people, or 50,000 people. If they all learn the same model and they're discouraged from going outside that model, then they're really stuck. And if that model isn't correct, which models are flexible, just like true science, it doesn't come to any absolute conclusions. They're always searching for better ways, faster ways, whatever the case may be. In pool, there's models that people have went by since they were beginners probably. And, they were told these things to help them enjoy the game as quick as possible. So I don't want to lead anybody to think that I'm saying that anybody learns or teaches maliciously, like to hurt people. Unless you're dealing with a top-notch pool hustler, you got to watch. You may not want to take advice from them if you're going to play them. Like, what shot should I shoot? As you're playing them for 500 a game. That. Common sense. A little bit uncommon these days, but again, you can build it up just like a muscle. And searching for truth is the way to do it. So there's really 4 things that people are taught that aren't as effective as they could be. Because if you watch the champion players like Shane Van Boening and Sky Woodward, Corey Deuel, Justin Bergman, they all have these things in common. And they don't play what I would call like a conventional way. Like if you watch Shane, he's got a really long bridge, but he doesn't take the cue back but a few inches, and his follow through a lot of times is just like 2 or 3 inches. Same with Sky Woodward. He doesn't hold the cue quite as far back. Shane uses an extra long cue. But you'll notice with Sky, especially on a bar table, he has kind of a little punch stroke that, he doesn't follow through that far. But quite honestly, that's the most accurate stroke that there is. Just like in golf, if you've played, when you're chipping balls, you have to punch them. You have to accelerate right at the moment of contact. That makes the ball go straight. And in golf, it's really ugly if you don't do that, because the ball doesn't get up in the air, and or you hit it thin and knock it over the green, But in pool, it's more subtle because you just miss the shot by a ½ inch or a ¼ inch. And a lot of times people jump to the conclusion that they need some kind of a mystical, magical aiming system, and that's the problem, when in fact, that's not the problem. The aiming is really the easiest part of the game once you get the true fundamentals down, especially the alignment. But body positioning is important, because if you're going to be consistent, consistency means doing the same thing over and over. If you're trying to do different things and get the same results, that will drive you insane. So the 4 things that are commonly done and taught is that you should have a really level cue. And if you watch the pros, you'll always see that the majority, and of course there's always exceptions, so I'm not saying everybody, but the majority of the champion players will be appearing to cue the ball low every time. Like Francisco Bustamante cues the ball behind the cue ball and then comes up on it. And what they're doing is they're using the top edge of their tip rather than the center. So it'd be like a martial artist, if you ever watch them break bricks or boards. They don't hit it with the flatness of their fist, they hit it with their knuckles. It's the first 2 knuckles. It's a smaller area, it's harder, and it penetrates better so that you'll break what you're hitting rather than your hand. Well, that's the same concept as when you're hitting a cue ball with a tip. You know, I use the center, and I will use a level cue if I'm hitting a little slow roll shot or one that's, you know, it's hard to mess up on. So, you know, of course, like I said, there's exceptions, but I only do that every once in a while, and I try never to do it, actually. I try to hit everything with what we call a pop stroke, like you're popping a whip, so that it accelerates precisely at the moment of impact. And when it does that, the cue ball has to go straight. So we use a little bit of an angle on our cue. The other thing is to use a really loose grip, like, you know, holding a little baby bird or whatever. And if you notice there again, these players I'm talking about, they don't do that. I don't do that. It may appear that we hold the cue a little looser than we actually do, but and there again, I'm not talking about holding it tight. You have to control the tip. You have to control the cue. You play the game with the tip, so you have to, at least at impact, like Bustamante holds the cue really loosely, but I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, at impact, he tightens up, because if you see pictures of him at impact, you can see the muscles and veins in his arms. So that's not from holding something loose. So he goes from more of a loose to tight at impact, and basically just closes his hand. And there's a lot of players that have done that. They used to have slip strokes where you hold it real loose, then you slip the hand back, tighten it, and go forward. Eddie Taylor, one of the greatest bank pool players of all time, did that. And they don't do it so much anymore because the cloth's so fast and the balls are better. But, okay, so the loose grip. I think you should hold it, if you've hammered nails, you should hold it about the same tension as you would hold a hammer. So you can feel that nail. The hammer doesn't get away from you. You get precision. That's what you want, is precision. And the third thing is the alignment. Most people go up to the shot and align on the line of the shot. It just makes sense, right? You see the line, you go up and you get on that line. Well, I don't do that. What I do is I align to the object ball consistently every time, and then from that consistent position, I create the angle. The 2 positions that I use is center to center, like a straight in shot, and center to edge, like a half ball shot. Just like a half ball shot is if you put one on the spot and went down to the foot of the table and went 1 diamond over and 2 diamonds up and put the cue ball there, that's a half ball hit to make the ball, if you're on the left side of the table, to make it in the left pocket. So it's just a half ball. From that position, I can make any cut shot. From the center to center position, I can make any shot that's less than a half a ball. And of course, straight in, you know, straight in, center to center, and that's where you hit it. Okay, so That's different. Setting the body first is important. Because again, what a lot of people do is they go up, they see the line of the shot, they get their eyes on the line of the shot first, then they set their body where it's comfortable or where they like it, or some are more systematic than others. If they've played a lot and they play at a high level, they probably naturally get into a pretty similar position every time. Now, the difference between that and a real top level champion is we get our bodies in exactly the same position every time first, and then play the game. Just like if you're going to build a robot to play pool, you'd build the robot to be able to position itself perfectly first and then let it play the game, not the other way around. So, it seems like a subtle difference, but it's really big. And what I do is I show people how to get in that position that's ideal to play pool. And then once you practice that for a little while, it never takes more than 2 or 3 weeks if you just do it an hour a day. And I show drills you can do to speed the process up. So, don't think it's a huge undertaking, but it does take, let's say 3 weeks, hour a day, 21 hours. If you're not willing to put in 21 hours to play 2 or 3 levels better, then you're listening to the wrong guy, because I did it. And I was one of the best players in the world when I did it. But I wasn't that consistent at the beginning of matches. And I knew if I was going to play professionally, that was not going to work. Gambling, it's okay. You got plenty of time if you've got plenty of money. And I usually did. So I would just basically wear the person out. And the positioning that I used and that touch of inside. The touch of inside is another thing that's real strong, because you don't want to hit the center of the cue ball. And if you're starting out as a beginner, they'll probably tell you center cue ball, level cue, loose grip, and then the long extended follow through. That's another thing that you only want to do when you want to exaggerate what the cue ball's doing. On follow shots, you really, but the follow through is a result of releasing into the cue ball with your hand. You don't try to stop it, even though sometimes, I've seen, again, Shane Van Boening at times when he's really trying to get a lot of spin quick or draw, he'll pop that ball and recoil that tip a little bit, where it gets an incredible amount of acceleration right at the moment of impact. That's not something I would suggest doing very much, but it's better than extending your follow through like 6 or 8 inches all the time. Because again, that's designed to make the cue ball exaggerate in between the cue ball and the object ball and afterwards. So again, that's why these top players look like they're kind of punching the ball. We call it popping the ball. That gives you the most accuracy. Anyway, that's what I teach. That's why I do 3-hour sessions, because it takes me about an hour to really explain and demonstrate and make sure people know exactly how this all fits together. And it's easier for me to show on a pool table, but it's more fun to tell you about it out here walking on this trail. And it's really surreal here. Anyway, if you want to know more about my systems, fundamentals, and techniques, www.cjwiley.com. You can email me. I'm in Pennsylvania right now for private lessons. cjwiley@cjwiley.com. After Pennsylvania, I'm going to the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and then I may come back up here. I've got a lot of people that I wasn't able to get to this time. So anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm on Facebook as well, CJ Wiley 7, and I'll be glad to try to help you in any way I can, because I want to see you enjoy the game, build a foundation where you can get better like champion players every day, because it's a journey, not a destination. It's a great way to self-express yourself and a way to get away from the toils and troubles of the world. Pool is a great game. I really recommend it. This is CJ Wiley. I'll talk with you soon.